Well, good morning or good afternoon, depending on what time zone that you're in. I'm Sarah Wyant, the founder and editor of Agri-Pulse, and I'm really pleased to see such interest in our webinar topic today, how precision pays with crop insurance. As we've written for many years, crop insurance has evolved into the premier risk management tool for hundreds of thousands of farmers. And those farmers who have adopted new precision technology on their equipment have been able to record their planting and harvesting data like never before. This makes crop insurance record keeping so much easier and more efficient. And from a public policy perspective, this enables crop insurance companies to reduce their error rates. So today we're going to hear from distinguished speakers with facilitated questions and answers about this subject. I'm going to make brief speaker introductions and then encourage you to dig into their full biographies on our website. We also want to hear from you, the attendees today. Feel free to offer your questions in the Q&A portion of our screen. And if you are also experiencing any technical issues, feel free to use the Q&A function. Please do not use the chat box. In addition, we will also be recording today's webinar, and we're going to be posting that on agripulse.com later today or early tomorrow morning. So before we begin, I'd like to thank our sponsor for the webinar today, Farmers Mutual Hail. And now I'd like to welcome our first speaker, RMA Administrator Marcia Bunger. She's the administrator of USDA's Risk Management Agency and has 25 years of experience working for USDA in the Farm Service Agency. Previously, Bunger founded an agriculture consulting firm, a limited liability company that provides assistance to area farmers and ranchers, and working with a local crop insurance agency, selling and servicing crop insurance policies. So she really does know everything from the ground up, from the farm level to the agency. She's also the owner and operator of a 2,000-acre family-owned farming operation. She graduated cum laude and received her bachelor's degree from Augustana College in South Dakota. Please welcome Administrator Marcia Bunger.
Thank you so much, Sarah, for that very kind introduction. In addition, I would also like to welcome all of the attendees listening in today. I believe that there is going to be quite a bit of valuable information that is going to be shared out by the other guest speakers as well. But why don't I just get started? Like Sarah talked about, I think what brings me to RMA is a cumulative total of 40 years of different kinds of experiences, but the main one being a love for agriculture and the love of servicing farmers, ranchers, whether it was when I worked at FSA or as a crop insurance agent or in this current role. So never forget that I'm your administrator. And so never hesitate to reach out. The best kind of feedback RMA can ever experience and value is the feedback from farmers, ranchers, foresters, the industry as well. This is the only way we can make crop insurance better. Over the last 2 years, USDA, including RMA, has taken some pretty bold steps to advance climate smart agriculture, improve equity in our program design and delivery, and to reach new farmers. At RMA, you can see that in the steps that we've taken to support cover crops and nutrient management through crop insurance, as well as our investments in risk management education and insurance options for underserved urban ag producers, beginning specialty crop and organic producers. At RMA, we also pride ourselves in listening to you and adapting crop insurance to meet your needs. Our work shows, I think we have a fabulous track record. And over the past 20 years, producers, you all, have purchased over 400% more coverage from $37 billion in 2002 to $194 billion. Crop insurance covers as many crops from 300 varieties to 600 varieties. Key to us advancing climate smart agriculture and adapting insurance is data, science, and technology, which is, I'm sure, the reason that you're all listening today. And I would encourage you, like Sarah said, to engage with our speakers and ask those questions. The best kind of learning is when we all participate and we can have that exchange of ideas. I would like to highlight a little bit about some of the coverage that we've implemented in the last couple of years. PACE. PACE is the split application endorsement coverage and is available in a piloted area. There are 11 states in this pilot area for corn, and those states include Iowa, Illinois, Indiana, Kansas, Michigan, Minnesota, Nebraska, North Dakota, Ohio, South Dakota, and Wisconsin. And if you are in one of those states, please reach out to your crop insurance agent if you're interested in learning more about that to see if your county is included in the pilot. We will be expanding the pilot area this coming year, so more to come. In addition to the policies that we've been featuring, rolling out this past year, we've been doing some risk management education. We've been calling it the RMA Roadshow, and we have been highlighting both in person and virtually a roadshow education opportunity for both producers and agents. But again, the public is welcome to tune in. The subject matter experts are going to be talking about microfarm, which was rolled out last year, and also whole farm revenue protection, which we have made some significant changes to, both in the eligibility, but also in the reduction of paperwork, which I think has been something that you have all asked for. So again, we appreciate and we continue to encourage you to reach to RMA and give us your feedback. Some of the upcoming roadshow dates and times is we will be having one coming up on December 13th at 11 a.m. That's a virtual roadshow. Some of the in-person roadshows scheduled are in Westlake, Texas, Wenatchee, Washington, Live Oak, Florida, Vernon, Connecticut, and where you can find more particular information on those locations and times is by going to rma.usda.gov. In addition to the roadshow education opportunity, we are also looking at this next year, rolling out two kind of near and dear to me outreach endeavors. The first one is what I refer to as building resiliency. And the partners with that, with the point partner being the Intertribal Ag Council, we've allocated, we're going to be devoting $1.9 million to this project, and we will be strategically engaging with minority serving institutions and underserved stakeholder groups that we are going to assist in training, educating, credentialing, a pipeline of crop insurance agents and adjusters within those underserved agricultural communities. The Intertribal Ag Council is the point for this $1.9 million rollout, but they will also be working with 3 other identified institutions, one being Annie's Project, one being the Rural Coalition, and also the Alcorn State University. The second education, risk management education rollout that is of focus to me is the Southern Risk Management Education Center at the University of Arkansas. We're calling this the Navigator. This partnership will strengthen outreach and technical assistance to underserved farmers and ranchers throughout the development of risk management program navigators. As I travel across the country, I continue to hear and talk to individuals that are not familiar with crop insurance. They are very interested in how to manage weather, mitigate risks on their operations. So this will be another tool available for them to actually just go online and ask trained subject matter experts about the different components of crop insurance. And finally, I would like to just speak a little bit more about technology and how important that is to RMA. And RMA has a very successful track record of making sure that we are being very diligent about taxpayer dollars. And this component means that we have to show that we have low errors, low improper payments. And so with the discussion that's going on today, I'm excited to see this continue into the future. 40 years ago, my husband and I, when we were married, we used an 8-row corn planter. While it was not a horse and a plow, sometimes it almost feels that antiquated when I look back over the last 40 years and to see where we're at today. And acreage reporting, production reporting is very integral part of crop insurance. And with the precision ag technology that's been coming out the last several years, and it continues to just become more and more enhanced, I believe this is another critical piece of making sure that we keep low improper payments, that we're being accurate with the data. And so with that, I would like to turn it over to our next speaker, and maybe Sarah will be introducing that next speaker, but I will continue to remain on this call. Again, don't be afraid to ask questions.
Well, thank you, Administrator Bunger. And I have to say that you have really dedicated a lot of time to outreach. And I'm glad to see that you're going to continue in that vein with your roadshow and making yourself available to all these folks who do have questions. And a couple came in about PACE that I'll ask you once we get into our Q&A session. So next, we're going to introduce the rest of our panelists. So first up is going to be Matt Olson. He's the manager of precision ag go-to-market with the John Deere Agriculture and Turf Division. He leads the product marketing process for precision ag technology in North America. He is responsible for marketing equipment and precision ag technology to help farmers increase their yields, decrease their costs, and increase the overall efficiency of the work they do. So Matt, we're really glad to have you with us. Following Matt's opening remarks, we'll hear from Gina Harms, who's an agent with Agri-Risk Solutions and farms in Western Nebraska, growing corn, sugar beets, dry beans, and wheat. She began her career in crop insurance when she accepted a job with Farm Credit. During her 15 years there, she dealt with ag customers for both crop insurance and lending. Harms was raised on a ranch in Wyoming and graduated with a bachelor's degree in accounting. So welcome, Gina. And last but certainly not least in our panel today is Zach Alsop, who is Assistant Vice President of External Claims at Farmers Mutual Hale. He oversees FMH's crop insurance field claims operations across the country. He previously managed internal claim teams at both FMH and John Deere Insurance Company, and has also worked as a claims analyst and claims training specialist, bridging that gap between field employees and IT departments to identify technology enhancements. So welcome to all of our panelists. And Matt, we'd like to start with you for some more opening comments.
Yeah, thank you for the introductory remarks, Administrator Bunger, and Sarah, thanks for the kind introduction. It's definitely a privilege for John Deere to be invited to this webinar, and I'm really excited to address the audience talking about this really important topic as we close out FY22 and really head into the 2023 growing season here before we know it. The need for data is growing for farmers, and I want to have this conversation to kind of kick things off, not only specific about the opportunities within crop insurance, but just the opportunities with data more broadly from which we can really have a great service through the crop insurance system. And that growth for data is only going to continue to grow as farmers are really looking to maximize their bottom line. We all know that we've had, for most of us, a great 22, but we all know that there is a market that is fraught with risk for all of us, whether it's the markets themselves, the weather, what have you. Risk management is a key strategy for all of our farmers. And when we talk about data at John Deere, it's all about ROI, return on investment for the farmer. When we think about that opportunity for data and operationalizing and analyzing, I really want to talk about it in 3 key areas. The first being those operational decisions. So how can we increase our productivity? How can we have a digital record of the work that we did across the year and allow us to look year over year and see how our farm is progressing? The second area the data can help us is in supporting agronomic decisions. So how can we make sure that we're sustainably growing yields, identifying yield challenges, and addressing them through very focused actions? The last and really connection to our conversation here today is really about those economic decisions. How can we really impact those financial outcomes through products like crop insurance, et cetera? When we look at a lot of those foundational technologies that can support what we're talking about here, we look at a lot of that core technology that many of the farmers that are listening here are using. They're using AutoTrack, they're using section control across most of the equipment in their fleet. And that same technology is capable of providing data that's used to not only support the decisions that I just outlined before, but really feeds into what can be a more seamless interaction for more automated crop reporting. When we look at new machines, for the past couple of years, we've been shipping from the factory, less availability due to the chip shortage, machines that are complete with the guidance systems that have the display, the receivers, the software, the modems, to allow them to do right from the factory precision ag. We also know that we have a long experience in precision ag from a retrofit perspective. So a farmer can take many of those same technologies that are found on brand new machines and put those technologies on older equipment, including non-John Deere equipment. Telematics has really been a key piece of this equation when it comes to data. It's so important to our customers that we've now made data transfer at no additional charge to our customers. And so we want to remove barriers for seamless flow of data to help facilitate decisions like we're talking about here. The last thing I want to talk about in some of these enabling areas are around the data sharing capabilities. So once we've amassed this data coming from our fields, it's in the operations center. There's data sharing capabilities within the operations center with folks like Farmers Mutual Hail that allows that data to flow seamlessly as you control it, and you set up to do so between your account and that at Farmers Mutual Hail. And so there's been a lot of work put in place to make sure that this is as seamless and easy for the farmer as possible. But again, I just want to make sure that I always highlight that the farmer is in control of their data and they choose who gets it, when they get it, and how they get it. It's easy for us to talk about a lot of these opportunities, but I also want to make sure that we address the challenges that may be on some of the minds of the folks there in the audience and wanting to know a little bit more about that. I think when I think about a lot of the challenges, the first one comes to mind is awareness of the opportunities like these to fully utilize the precision ag technologies in much of the equipment that they have today. So the data that we're talking about is capable of being delivered from those machines, and you just need to be able to turn it on and that data will be available. So it's really a decision that you got to make for yourself and for your farm. The second challenge is really around knowledge and confidence and really the support relative to using these systems for reporting purposes. You know, farmers have become quite capable in using these technologies for controlling the steering, like with AutoTrack, or reducing overlap through section control. However, opportunities for data is the next step, and they need support from all of us to help them uncover the potential. A key thing that we talk about is farmers don't farm alone. So leverage the expertise of those you work with to get the most out of your data. I know there's a lot of folks that have maybe been documenting since we started in precision ag back in the mid-90s. And we've started with harvest data, and that's really fed into a lot of crop insurance reporting needs. But we can get beyond there. And some folks I know that are looking at that as an opportunity, maybe not understanding how to progress or what next steps to take. And I want to make sure that they know that they've got the right support. When it comes down to support, to making sure that this is a successful endeavor for our farmer customers, I want to make sure they know there's several venues that they can go down. Is that there's increasingly large amounts of help content. So if you have an operations center account, you can go into help, and there's an extensive help file that is loaded with information that will allow you to confidently use this for reporting purposes. There's YouTube videos. We all like YouTube videos. They really make it easy for us to see and hear and learn from. And so we're putting out more and more video content to support you. And last but not least, when I mentioned farmers don't farm alone, your local John Deere dealer is somebody that's already a trusted advisor to each of you that are working within the John Deere system. And I want to make sure that you not take this weight on your shoulders yourself, that if you're not using them to support your data endeavors, I'd really challenge you to reach out to your dealer and have them provide the support that they've already been providing you for those guidance functions to allow them to help you on your journey with data. I really want to end by saying thank you for your business, and we look forward to enabling further success in 2023.
Thank you, Matt, for those opening comments. And I think it has been imperative of your emphasis on the fact that farmers do own their own data. They decide to make these decisions, and the fact that there's a whole village of people to help with how they want to utilize that. So Gina, we'd like to hear from you next. So the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you for the introduction. And I just want to start by saying because Matt just talked about the thing with the new stuff on the John Deere's, that was kind of a challenge for us because it was a subscription that we'd have to convince people to do the wireless data transfer. And it is a lot easier now. So I'm glad that we're seeing all those kind of improvements. So I'm just going to start just telling a little bit about myself and how I use the precision data, both on my farm and with my business. I farm in the panhandle of Nebraska, and I also own a family-owned crop insurance agency, Agri-Risk Solutions. First, I'm just going to kind of start off by, along with Administrator Bunger, I remember how it was 40 or 50 years ago. I remember visiting my grandpa on his farm by Baird, Nebraska. And I think he's kind of the one that instilled in me this push for always trying to improve, trying to find ways where we can do things better, whether it's on the crop insurance side or whether it's on the farming side. And he was one of the first ones in our area. We are a huge surface water area. And my grandpa dug a pit and put up a pivot to improve his irrigation. And I remember all the neighbors coming over and looking at this when I was a child. And I think that kind of always got me started thinking, you know what, we can always look at ways to improve these programs, improve what we're doing. So I've kind of tackled that, and that's always been a big thing for me. As far as on my farm, keeping that whole mindset and always wanting to continually improve, precision technology has been a huge driver in both of my businesses. So utilizing that precision on my farm has, like with my variety placement and accurate seeding and fertilization, it has helped my yields. And we all know that technology can help us in those ways. So a lot of these farmers are using this. So I'm going to kind of talk about how I've implemented that and then move to the crop insurance side that has also helped in this. So many years ago, I guess, when I started in crop insurance, which was 1998, this technology was really just starting to emerge. we weren't able to use this information to report for crop insurance. It was working with FSA, working with the farmers, getting that information, getting it put on the policy. With that, we all make mistakes. We all have typos. We all have transposing numbers. I tend to do it a lot. When we're using this precision technology to bring that in, it does take away from a lot of those errors, and it makes that a lot more seamless. Our agency was lucky enough to find a partner in Farmers Mutual Hail, and together we have actually embraced utilizing this data so that we can collect the information and move it into the policy. And I can tell you examples of customers telling us how we actually save them quite a lot of time and money by getting them paid on claims quicker, by taking their information instead of having to sit down with them for 2 hours to go over all these maps of where they planted. We get that information and we check with them to make sure that we're not missing anything, instead of saying, what did you plant here? What did you plant here? What are you going to do over on this field? So that has really, really helped us. And not only do we use that information to report for insurance, you can use that information for the FSA as well. So that also is saving that farmer time from going into the FSA office and doing the same thing with them that they do with us when we were doing it doing it with before precision. So this information that we're getting is definitely more accurate. Now that we have the information, like it comes in through companies like John Deere, that the customer, it's very easy for them. They set up on their portal that they put that link with us and with Farmers Mutual Hail or the insurance company, and that data comes in seamlessly, and we take it and we use it for planted acres as well as production. So I have examples of ways that this has actually worked well by claims getting paid quicker. There not being mistakes on policies. So those are all things that benefit the farmer. But the other thing that benefits the farmer is on the planted acres. In the past, a lot of times we were just insuring like an entire FSA field. So if the FSA field said there was 150 acres, that's what was saying that was planted. But in all actuality, there's areas in the field that aren't planted. And a perfect example, which I know isn't like a whole lot of acres, but where the pivot point is. You're not planting anything where that pivot point is. Well, the old FSA maps that would show. So we're able to save them on premium because we're actually ensuring the number of planted acres that are out there instead of what everybody is thinking is on that field from an old map. So our customers have all commented on how much time and money we have saved them. We all know with rising interest rates and getting paid quicker is going to be a lot bigger deal. Time is really truly money for those farmers. And in our agency, because we've embraced this and we've really tried to help our farmers understand how much this helps them, they are very thankful for the amount of time that they've been able to save. And they actually have commented on how it does help them because they're not spending all those hours going over maps the first time with their agent. They're able to just push that data to us and we can do that. So we've made that, I guess, a priority of utilizing that data on the farm for our agency. One thing I want to say is I would encourage others to do the same thing. I know it can be a little bit intimidating because it's something new from what we're used to doing, but there is we have utilized the Farmers Mutual Hail. They have a precision solutions team. They have the tools that can help you do that kind of stuff and learn those things on the agent side that we're all able to help the farmer, which helping the farmer has always been a huge passion of mine and figuring out ways to do things better. So with that, I look forward to more questions, and I want to thank everyone and Farmers Mutual Health for sponsoring this call. So I look forward to the future discussion on here.
Thank you, Gina. And we do have quite a few questions coming in. As a reminder to our audience, please enter those in the Q&A portion of the bottom of your screen where you'll see that icon. And next up, we're going to have Zach Alsop talk to us a little bit more about this issue from his perspective. Zach?
Thanks, Sarah. So appreciate all the panelists being on this call and share your expertise from all different angles. As mentioned, so my title at Farmers Mutual Hales, I'm the Assistant Vice President of External Claims. So I have a team of about 320 people from coast to coast, border to border, helping facilitate the crop insurance operations out in the field for our insureds and for our agents. And I've been fortunate enough to be in insurance and around the precision side for most of its existence in crop insurance. So it's been fun to watch it progress to what it is today. And really, when I look at precision, I kind of look at it from three different focal lenses. I look at it from the insurer's perspective or the producer's perspective. I look at precision from the agency side and then from the industry side. And the industry side would be the AIP or the approved insurance provider, such as an FMH or Farmers Mutual Hail or other providers out there, as well as even the RMA with some of the rules they have and some of the products they create. So what I find unique about precision that everybody should like is that it really tends to be a win-win-win scenario for those three different focal points. And it's hard to find that in industry in general, let alone crop insurance. But when I look at the three different areas, I'll kind of talk toward the advantages and some of the things you can do with precision or what it does for the different groups. But the producer, similar to what Matt had mentioned, to me, it's already an additional return on their investment. The vast majority of producers out there have this technology. They've already paid for it. They're using it to drive straight. They're using it to plant in a straight line, to have chemical or fertilizer going on in a precise spot. They're utilizing it, right? This is another return on that investment that they've already made. They can start utilizing the data for crop insurance purposes. What else does that do for them? As mentioned by Gina, it's going to typically reduce their acres on their insurance policy. Typically, they're not planting all the acres that have been drawn by hand over a decade ago on those maps. So typically, you'll see their acres go down, which saves them some premium numbers. And usually their guarantee goes up because their APH, their actual production history, starts to rise because you're taking all the production and putting it on a smaller number of acres. So again, they get a bigger guarantee for less premium on only the acres that they're actually planting typically. So it's a win in that aspect. Also, as kind of mentioned, it reduces the need or the dependency to wait for FSA. And I say that with respect for what they do. But when you have every producer in a county coming into an office, or even multiple counties in many states coming into an office and providing all their planting information, it takes a long time to get through that, right? Where with precision, you don't have to do that. It's also often commonly thought that your acres must match from your policy to what FSA has, and that's not necessarily true. They can, but they don't have to. And by bringing precision data to their agent sooner than waiting for 578s to come out, you often get a benefit from that in the form of quicker payments. So, and Gina may be able to even give examples of what she's seen, but with early season claims such as replant and prevent plant, we can get to those faster and sometimes significantly faster because we're not waiting for acres to attach on a policy. That's the biggest weight that we have when it comes to those types of claims, is waiting for acres to come on. And precision allows us to get that a lot quicker. In addition to claims experience, again, Gina probably has many times experienced the benefit of precision when it comes to review. So oftentimes producers have to go through reviews or audits, if you will, based on the dollar amount of their claim, where the government will require additional auditing to take place. Precision will either greatly reduce the effort there or eliminate the effort there by having your fewer documents to retain. And if we're working claims, we're typically working all the units within your claim with precision. And that kind of puts a stop to the review process because it's verified data already. So just another reason from the insurer's perspective to utilize precision. From the agency perspective, again, it's a unique marketing tool. We see it across our book of agents where they're utilizing it not necessarily just to obtain new business, but also retain business. We see it quite a bit where producers want to utilize their technologies that they paid for, but they will go seek agents that want to use that technology as well, or can use that technology. So agents are utilizing it to get new business, but they're also keeping business from leaving because they can be tech savvy enough to offer these solutions to their growers. They also get again, acreage reporting and production reporting season gets to get done a lot earlier for agencies that embrace the precision side, because it comes in an automated fashion, at least from our perspective, from FMH's perspective. I can't speak to every other AIP, but it allows them to be different and separate themselves from other agents out there in the industry. From the AIP or industry perspective, one of the greatest things I see coming from precision is good data, right? And this goes beyond just the AIP itself, but even to the RMA itself, right? You know, good data on acres planted, good data on production that came from those acres, good data when it comes to plant dates. Those are things that can help AIPs such as Farmers Mutual Hail, or even the government when it's product development, right? They can develop products in a smarter way that has up-to-date information that's relevant to the industry. They can take this information and utilize it to be more accurate with rating. You know, as you get better data, we can be smarter about how we rate things to be more accurate based on current good information. So that's one of the things that gets me excited about it. From a claims person, a reduction in LAE, which is loss adjuster expenses, that's something that, you know, I'm always looking to see how can we facilitate and service our business and do it in a way that can save another dollar here or there to make things meet. And that's a harder thing to do every day in crop insurance. But precision allows us to do that by fewer trips, being more accurate, not overpaying or underpaying claims. It's a more accurate settlement. To the administrator's comment, you know, this is taxpayer money at hand when we talk about the federal program. And there's a magnifying glass on that all the time for fraud, waste, and abuse, and inaccurate payments or error rates. And I would say we do a very, very good job as an industry on keeping those error rates down. But precision is that next step in getting even better with it, right? So again, good data, good accurate settlements are all very important. And then the scalable side of things. It's scalable for producers, it's scalable for agents, and it's scalable for companies such as, you know, the AIPs or even RMA. And all that, again, kind of goes back to that win-win-win situation. And it's available for all AIPs or all insurance companies like us to offer to their customers and to their agents. It's a matter of how you want to go with it and how much you want to put into it. And at FMH, it's a strategic initiative of ours. We take it very serious. We put a lot of resources and money and effort into it to get very good at it. We have staff out there, like Gina mentioned, to provide assistance to growers and to agents to help them get on board and learn how to use the technology and do it well. You know, we have, again, I can't speak for every company. I know some are probably similar in nature, but we do a lot to try to automate the process, like Matt mentioned, with being able to seamlessly bring that data in from John Deere. And we have that with other companies as well, where we can consume that data. And again, it's an effort to continue to push that win-win-win for everybody. It makes it easier for the producer, the agent, and us to get good data to transmit to RMA when we do process claims. And in the end, it works very, very well. I would like to kick it over to Gina, if it's all right, because I know she probably has better examples of the type of time savings that we're talking about here. It's not minutes or hours for many of these folks. So Gina, what have you experienced from that aspect?
Yes, so especially like with replant claims, but even regular claims, I can remember an example. We're a big sugar beet area, and we start planting sugar beets in April. And as you can imagine, it freezes in May a lot of times. So it'll freeze, and depending on how big that sugar beet is, we have to replant. So those replant payments prior to precision, we would have to try to get them certified at FSA. And so the adjuster could get everything worked. We've actually gotten those replant payments paid in May with their precision data, and those customers, because then they have to plant corn and beans and they're very busy, they actually don't get their acres certified until the first part of July with the FSA. So that one example right there, that's 2 months sooner that they get that replant money in their account, which to me, that's a lot. And that's like one really good thing. The other nice thing is where, I'll kind of talk about the accuracy of the data here. You know, I'm a farmer, so let's just say I have a loss, which I wish I didn't, but that's why we all buy crop insurance. So I have had losses in the past, before I was utilizing precision data. And I'm telling you what, it was a lot of information that I had to get to the person that was reviewing the prior year to make sure that everything was right to pay the claim this year. With precision, which I utilize now, pretty much everything is in the policy that they need. They need a combine calibration to make sure that that information is correct, but really all that data is already there, and that the person that's reviewing it, whether it's the RMA or the crop insurance company, they have that information right there to pull. And it takes, in a case of a review, it takes a lot of pressure off an adjuster typing in a ticket wrong, or me putting in the production wrong off of the sheet. Like, you just missed type 1 number and it's off, and then it's hard to get all that taken care of. So those are two good examples of where it really does pay to use the precision.
And when you talk about reviews in crop insurance, you have a certain amount of time from when a signature is gathered to complete the review, or else you have to go out and get everything re-signed again.
Mhm.
And when it gets to that precision side, you don't have as many hangups on that timeline. And usually it results in, again, getting the dollar to the grower sooner, right? And that's kind of the name of the game, right? Is to pay them as accurately as possible and as fast as possible. And it definitely seems to be trending that precision is that answer. So I appreciate you sharing those examples.
Absolutely. So one of the other things that has come up is we've got a lot of different questions that are coming in from the audience here, and I want to get to as many as we can. One has come in, or actually a couple on PACE. And Administrator Bunger, I know you said you've got some more announcements coming forward, so maybe you can't answer this right now, but is PACE going to be expanded to other commodities, and will we see more in the South? Those are some of the questions that are coming up along that program.
Sometimes we're not able to answer right away just because all of the submissions that come through the 508H process, which is a component of how new products are announced, are confidential. But I can put in the chat, or in the Q&A, I should say, the link to the expansion for PACE for 23. And that way everyone can have that information. I also will put in the Q&A link there, the map, so that people can actually see. So currently, right now, we're expanding into states and counties. For right now, it's just the one crop. And again, the expansion of the crop of the areas lies with the private submitter. And through a lot of work behind the scenes is how things get expanded. But hope that helps. And I'll go ahead and put those links in the Q&A.
Yeah, thanks. Very helpful. Matt, we've had a lot of questions come in about data ownership, and you addressed some of that early on. Could you just maybe run us through that process of farmers collecting this information? And we don't have strong statistics on exactly how many farmers have precision tools, but every time I talk to a farmer, I haven't been on a tractor or a combine in a long time with somebody that does not have some form of precision gathering technology. So a lot of folks are out there, they're using this. When they want to hand it off or give it to a third party, can you walk us through that and the permissions that are involved?
Yeah, that's a great question, Sarah, and definitely thanks to the audience to give me the opportunity to talk about that. Within the operations center, there's several functions in there that allows a farmer to take that data that is theirs, that they are in control of. And I'm very proud of the significant investment in controls that we put in the operations center. And so within the setup function of operations center, there's really two ways to share data. Again, data is not shared until you initiate the action to share. And so the first one is around connections. And so connections are really how you share with another software company. So when we talk about Farmers Mutual Hail, they have a connection with us that you can set up through their applications to pull your data in as you design it to happen. And there's also, from a team perspective, that's another function underneath the setup tab in Operations Center. And that's where you're able to add and manage the staff for your account, operators, and in this case, partners. And so if Jenna's my insurance agent, I can say, Jenna, I want you to take care of this for me. And so I can connect Jenna to my account. I can set up the permissions where I give her access to what she needs, nothing more, nothing less. And so it's a fairly involved process that involves the customer to really identify from an equipment, organization, locations, work, and financial perspective, what level do I want to share on what piece of data. So it really gives everybody access to the controls that allows people to get access to the data that they need, no more, no less. And so when we talk about data sharing and the control the farmer has, I really challenge farmers to think about, with that kind of control in place and the relationships they have with folks like Jenna, that I really challenge them to do more of that, because it will add value to their operation, and they can feel confident that should that relationship change, all they got to do is go back into the Operations Center and they can instantly remove Jenna or any of the other connections that they've established, and no further transfer will take place. And so it's really easy to be transparent with our farmers with the systems like we have in place. And if that's something that you're interested in, but again, maybe you don't have a lot of knowledge in, contact your John Deere dealer or your wonderful crop insurance agent. They can help you with that.
Thanks, Matt. And Gina, you mentioned a little bit about this. Just once a farmer does get started, it seems like if they can save this time and money and all the reporting, that probably some of those barriers to adoption start to fall pretty quickly in the interest in sharing. Is that correct?
Yes, they actually do. We've had good success with talking to them, and obviously I farm, so I'm familiar with the John Deere, like the John Deere Operations Center. And when you go in there and share, you pick what you want to share with them. It's not, you can not share certain information with them if you don't want to. We've developed that trusted business relationship with our customers. And so pretty much everybody shares everything with us, but I really use their information just for their crop insurance. If there's ways they can use it better, I support them and try to help them do that. But there's a lot of safety in place so that if there's information you don't want somebody having, they're not going to get it.
Yeah, I think trust is the paramount issue amongst all of this. And that's why we pride ourselves on over 180 years of trusted relationships with our farmers that we're not going to jeopardize. And I know that, Jenna, your business has been successful because your farmers trust you. Right. And that's why they give you that access, because you've earned it. And so there's a lot of folks in agriculture that have earned that kind of trust. And so I really challenge farmers to open up and leverage the power of data that's at their fingertips.
Thank you. And Zach, I'd like you to just jump in here a little bit about some of the trends that you've been seeing over your career in crop insurance in terms of adoption of precision and how farmers are utilizing it now. What kinds of changes have you seen even in the last 5 years in terms of utilizing this data?
You know, the trends, the first trend you see with precision is the adoption rate, right? So we've seen about 20% growth compounded annually. So that comes out to like a 250% growth in adoption in the last 7 years. So it's people are getting more comfortable, people are embracing it, and they're seeing the value in it. I do think part of that, and it kind of pigtails on what Matt's saying, I do think part of that adoption is driven by the fact that it is a fairly easy step forward. They're already utilizing the technology for other things. This is more of hitting the record button and then sharing it. And it's almost like that gateway that, okay, I can take that step, I can do that. And when I do that, I get more comfortable with it. And then I can start finding other avenues of how to utilize this data to be more efficient or to make more money or to do other things. You know, there's companies out there that will take They will take your information, they will map it and say, this 5-acre pocket would be better off to be put in a CRP program and you will get more money. It's non-productive. If you take it out, stop putting your investment of seed, chemical, fertilizer, all that there and put it into another program, you'll be more profitable. But that takes precision, and not everybody's ready to do that. But the adoption of the crop insurance side of things, I think, is them taking that step and then going forward. And then they start getting more comfortable and they can utilize it in other applications. The other thing I would throw out with trends where I've seen, the digitization of it. When we first started doing this in crop insurance, it was print me a pixelized map of the planted acres, print me a pixelized map of the harvested acres, let me look for gaps, let me go out to field and look at it, and then we'll settle a claim. And of course, calibration report would be required there too. Well, today, so much more of it is even now in the digital format. Now it's hit this button and share it with your agent, and they will then pass it over to us, the insurance company, to process your claim. And there's not the printing of a piece of paper for every single farm. It's all being done digitally. To take that question and twist it a little bit more of where I'd like to see it progress to me, this would be another big step for precision in the ag industry. I would love to see a solution out there that allows crop insurance companies to settle claims with precision information when corn is being chopped for silage. So when you look at corn that gets chopped, I think John Deere has a solution. I think other companies have similar solutions that will give you weight and yield-based information in a precision format. If we can get to a point with a few small rule changes that are made to utilize that for loss purposes, it's another one of those win-wins in my mind, because one, we can pay those producers that have the technology, and so many of our acres being chopped are done by custom cutters. They have the technology. We can pay them quicker. And if I don't have to send all my adjustment staff in front of those choppers and hurry up and get these appraisals, I can send them to the folks that don't have the technology yet. They get paid faster. So much with anything in ag, when it's time to chop and you have custom cutters coming in, it's time to chop. They're going to go, and they don't want to leave a strip out in the field. They want to get it all. And that puts us sending people on the spot, hurry up, get in front of there, get some appraisals done. But if we can come up with a solution on the precision side to take care of that, that makes the industry super happy. It's a huge cost savings from our perspective, and the producers end up getting paid more timely. So it's another one of those opportunities for precision down the road as it matures.
Yeah, and good examples. Matt, did you want to add anything about that in terms of solutions available at Deere?
No, I would just like to compliment everything Zach said, is that whether you're talking about a combine, cotton harvester, or a forage harvester, all of our systems come with a full suite of precision ag technology to allow that data to be accessible, and forage harvesters are no different than a combine.
Terrific. This question's for Administrator Bunger, and I think Gina, you might want to add on to this. And I don't think this came from a family member, but we do have a farm in North Dakota that has a center pivot, but also next to non-irrigated corn. And so the questioner wants to know, how do you use precision data when you're going from an irrigated section of a field to non-irrigated to make those definitions separate? So Administrator Bunger, if you'd like to share something on that first.
When I first saw the question, it reminded me of the days when I was an agent in assisting those customers with pivots. Some of them did not have precision ag technology, which is a challenge. So, I'm going to have Gina talk about the precision ag technology piece, but for those that don't have that kind of technology, of course, your best resource is to talk to your agent on how to account for that production. Are you planning it differently so that there's a discernible break? I mean, there is procedure, there's guidance in there for those individuals, and that's where I would, defer you to. But when it comes to the actual precision ag piece of that, I'm going to turn it over to Gina.
Perfect. That actually is so much easier if we're doing precision agriculture. So in John Deere, if they're, and I'll go in the past before we had this, like you did have to have a break. Most people would plant their corners at a different angle than they did under the pivot or the field that was right there. So now you have a boundary for your irrigated. And when you're putting your prescription in for your planter, the seeding rate changes, because you can plant straight through. The seeding rate changes from when you're on that irrigated to that non-irrigated. And when we bring that information into the policy, it splits it by the boundary and by the seeding rate. So it's number one, it's much more accurate, but it is a actually very simple process. And when they're out there harvesting, which is even better, they don't have to try to put their corners or that other field on another truck to keep it separate. When they're harvesting, it's the same way, because that combine goes through the row, all the way through the rows, through the dry land and the irrigated. And we get that data that comes into the policy, and it's split the same way. So we know exactly what's on those dry land fields, and we know exactly what's on the irrigated fields.
And of course, it's such an advantage when you are looking at your levels of coverage that you have, so if you're getting a different level of coverage on your dry versus your irrigated, it is so much more accurate, and it's a huge aid to that person running the combine, running the planter. And sometimes that are not the same. So the same person. And so you always have that human error factor involved, or you forget. So the precision ag piece is just like an aha thing for me.
And Matt, did you have something you wanted to add to that on irrigated versus non?
I was just sitting back smiling, seeing all this to come to fruition, and Jenna did an absolutely marvelous job. Good job.
Thank you with that. So just to try to squeeze in another quick question here for you, Zach. Someone wants to know about how beneficial do you find the assimilation and reporting functions of farm management software as a transfer point? The different farms management software platforms, Conservice was mentioned. I'm sure there's a lot of others, but having that as a transfer point then to the agencies.
It certainly is nice, right? The more vendors there are out there that offer a solution, that's always a challenge of, okay, how do you set up to work with everybody? So you pick your connections, you come up with solutions that are agnostic when it comes to companies, and we've done a great job of that. The ability to transfer that data back and forth in a digital format is huge in a normal year, but then you take a year like 2020, 2021, when COVID was everywhere, and how that changed our way of doing business. It was another solution to be able to take that data, group it up, and get it to the appropriate party without having to travel as far, travel in person, and those types of things. So I think those types of softwares, those types of solutions will forever be important as they develop out, and it just makes you that much more efficient. So.
Okay. Last question. I'd just like to toss this over to Administrator Bunger about how do you see some of the future of incorporating this data, factoring into the department's goals of having more regenerative resilience agriculture? I know those are words that a lot of us use pretty broadly. I think a lot of farmers would say they are the original environmentalists, and so they've already been trying to do everything they can to preserve their topsoil and manage wisely. But how do you see some of the precision technology maybe spearheading those efforts going forward?
I think it'll become very critical as we move into the next couple of years. They've already started talking about Farm Bill and possibilities of cover crop data being used to be incorporated into conservation types of APHs. So I think the world will be our oyster when it comes to this data. There's just so many possibilities that I don't think we've even begin to touch the surface with what can possibly be learned with regards to saving soil, saving water. And it's about input costs. I mean, at the end of the day, as a farmer, it's not a kittens and rainbow type of thing. It's about money and how much it costs to put crops in the ground. And, it all goes toward the bottom line. And so it speaks to the administration's goals of climate mitigation and the risks around that, but at the end of the day, I want to, though, make sure people understand that it has to work for the farmer. We want this to be a tool in their toolbox. This is not a mandate. This is all voluntary. And it's the decisions that each operation will need to make independently and what best serves their operation. I mean, because we know even from field to field within our own operations, the soil type is different, the lay of the land is different. There's just so many factors that make each of those fields unique. And so with the precision ag data and where we're evolving from and to, I only can say I'm looking forward to the future. And I'm glad that we're not doing an 8-row corn planter anymore.
Absolutely. Well, thank you, Administrator Bunger, Gina, Matt, Zach. Appreciate Farmers Mutual Hail sponsoring this. I think one of the outcomes that I've heard pretty broadly is that there are a lot of people to help as we are following this journey, and whether it's a crop insurance agent, a company, a John Deere dealer, any kind of a expert in your local community that can help you with data management. There are a lot of people available to go along and assist farmers as they move along this crop insurance and precision journey. So thank you again for all this. We've got some questions we didn't get to, but we'll keep those in mind and hopefully try to answer those individually after this. Keep in mind that this has been recorded and it will be posted on agri-pulse.com in our free video section later today. So thank you again. Enjoy the rest of your day and Godspeed.